So something that might be helpful for any true benevolent beings listening is when you think about or contemplate, if you do at all, the number of entities in this place, just outside of this place, and if you believe that there is a universe in this universe, as well as if there is truly some kind of an entity and or being, and at this point I think it would be an entity that runs and operates this universe. How many souls they have murdered, tortured, raped in all the time. Civilizations, planets, star systems, races, timelines that they have done this to. I'm trying not to speak so slowly, but I want to be articulate, and I try to work on my repetition. So if you are trying to find a way to help, but are hesitant to take action of any kind, or things that you might perceive as being larger actions, all you really need to do is to think about the magnitude, the quantity of souls that they have raped of their due evolution, and that they have tortured, raped, and murdered. Just to rape from them. I would ask that any of you, any true benevolent beings that might be listening, to at least be asking or stating, I would say more stating if you don't feel comfortable demanding, but asking the universal, I'm sorry, I'm trying to be clear, asking the universe itself, as well as universal laws, to implode this inverted time loop matrix. This inverted time loop matrix should not even be in existence. That should not be going on. It is basically, a loose analogy would be something like Groundhog Day, if you've ever seen that movie, and how wrong that is to be forcing on any race, any species. So when you think about how many souls that they have done this to, that should really help you to be confident enough to be asking the universe itself and universal laws to implode this inversion. And because they're using the artificial frequency fence to force an inorganic artificial frequency overlay over the true organic energetic field, that once this inversion is imploded, meaning the artificial frequency overlay is collapsed, then there should still remain the true organic energetic field of this place, and then this place would still be here. If you don't feel comfortable in moving this inverted time loop matrix to universal laws, at least be stating to universal laws that this is a massive imbalance that needs to be corrected. And all of the trapped souls here need to be moved to, I'm so sorry that this is slow, that they need to be moved to their true, authentic, organic, alive, balanced frequency, vibration, light, sound, energy, and resonance realities and or universes and or planets and or star systems. They're trying, I'm so sorry, they're trying to interfere with this recording. I'll just say that the things over this last year that they have been forcing are just so, I know I don't go into detail very much. It is because they do magic, or they try to force magic on these recordings. And so I try to not make things worse for myself, but still try to get across or help others understand the level that this has reached for me personally. And what they have been forcing over the last year is there, as much as I do to release all forced trauma, I do that on a consistent basis, on a daily basis. However, there are entities, demons, forcibly attached to me via technology and clone 24/7, and have been for over 10 years. And to still work to maintain a job, housing, errands, trying to provide myself the basic necessities is challenging. It's not just that they're forcibly connected, it is what they're forcing. And what they are forcing has been so invasive. And as I do recordings, the more frenzied they become. At some point, there will be a climactic point. And because of the quantity of malevolence in this place and outside of this place, who have been doing this for a very long time, and because there are things that I am able to do that have an effect on those entities, I would say because they tried to obstruct my astral body and my intuition. It is somewhat challenging in recently to see the full, to intuit the full magnitude of ramifications in detail as I continue to move their violations to universal laws. Right now, the gauge is how frenzied they have become and what it is that they're forcing, which it is showing me that there is a climactic point coming. And because there doesn't seem to be very many of us, I am just reaching out for assistance and from true benevolent beings that do not hold ill intent towards me, to try and assist in what ways that you can. And that would be one way to be helping, is to just think about how many souls that they have harmed and over how much time, how many civilizations and star systems and timelines, and which also should show you or is a direct indication of how much malevolence has been party or participating in all of that. And if you were to think about those groups that you've heard of, and maybe you still work or communicate with some of those groups, I'm not sure. And then to contemplate if the universe itself is complicit what that means once this inversion is imploded. And then that should help you to understand what's being forced to, in general terms, what's being forced on me, and the number of entities doing the forcing. And many of them indirectly. Remember that they do, the reptilians and then some of the other groups do this via proxy once removed, because they illogically think that that absolves them of their universal law correction return. If it is accurate that the universe itself is complicit and corrupt, and has been doing this to so many souls over this period of time, via proxy, that to then contemplate the result of the implosion of this inverted time loop, this inverted matrix. What do you think happens? Do you think the whole universe implodes? Do you think it is just once this matrix implodes that the universe itself is just forced to comply, to correct, to basically remove all proxies immediately? And actually, once this matrix implodes, which means it has had direct contact with universal laws, what that would look like. Meaning, it corrects immediately everything all at once. And what that would look like. And at that point, I have contemplated whether, if it is accurate that there is an entity running and operating in this universe, and he is complicit, and is in the presence of embodied truth outside of this matrix, outside the artificial frequency fence, how universal laws would deal with a corrupt universal entity. Is it just the entity that gets immediately removed from existence? Or does the whole universe implode, thrusting any remaining true benevolent beings directly to their rightful place that matches their true, authentic, organic, alive, healed, benevolent frequency, vibration, light, sound, energy, and resonance? The universe itself is at the end of a very large cycle. If there is an entity running, operating this universe, contemplate the massive fear or just be able to see the massive fear. Don't go anywhere near it, but see the massive fear of the entity operating this universe. Along with seeing the fear of all those proxies. And if that is accurate, then you should now have an understanding of what is being forced on me. And the general magnitude those things are being forced. All against the revocation of my consent. So yes, I am asking any true benevolent being who does not hold ill intent towards me for assistance in any way that you think that you can manage it. And again, that way would be just contemplating the magnitude of souls that this universe has intentionally harmed and raped. How many races has that entity annihilated? And if there is no entity running and operating this universe, and it is just open space in where beings emerge into it from source, from whatever place that you believe that souls come from, or however it is that you think or know that beings get here, and unfortunately there are parasites here. If there isn't one, and it's just that, there is still the magnitude of malevolence that has been doing what I've just talked about. And they have proxies within their group, but there's still, it seems to me, the reptilians would be doing the ordering. And then you have subgroups. And then you have the footstools and the whores and the peons and the drones and all of those. And that would be the group on the surface. So either way, that would be asking universal laws and the universe itself to be removing parasites and to be imploding this perverted, inverted time loop matrix, devoid of all that it has raped from benevolent beings, devoid of all benevolent life force and life forms and beings. There needs to be more voices, more embodied truth. And even if you do not resonate with everything, that I've talked about and stated, if you resonate just with some of it or a part of it, whatever truths are there that you are resonating with, then you would still be embodying truth. And that is a voice that's needed. That is embodied truth, or living, organic beings embodying the truth. Whether it's a big truth, a small truth, or you have your own, like there are some things that you resonate with, but then you have, your own perceptions and thoughts and of, what I've talked about and stated, and you have your own vantage point. You have your own perception of those things, but there must still be some resonance of truth if you are still listening. It is the embodied truth that they are trying to eliminate, because we contradict the universe's, if the universe is itself, if there's an entity running and operating the universe, we contradict the universe itself, the lies of the universe itself. And if there isn't one, then we still contradict the lies of the entities that have been doing this. There needs to be more of us. So that could be something I think that you could help with, that's doable. I also hope that you are, hopefully you are still trying to communicate with the true benevolent creator of this creation and asking for his assistance. And I'm sorry, there was something else that I was trying to tie into this. Just a moment, please. Just to realize the magnitude of what is occurring, and that the amount of corruption in this place, outside of this place, in this universe, is at a point that it must be corrected. It must be. And as we look at humanity and what they have forcibly done to humanity, there are not too many true benevolent beings of the true creator left here. And I am not seeing a whole lot of change within humanity. So what I'm getting at is, if we are the only ones left, we need to be doing what we can to help correct the wrongness of what has been done to an entire race. Now, I know that our souls those of us who have managed to retain much, if not all, of our beings, move on, go forward. However, the more that the malevolence is forcing, the more challenging, I'll just say, some things get in the retention area. Hopefully you can see what or understand what I'm saying there. And just if you are looking at humanity, you can see by what they have forced, what has been done to humanity, and how many have had their souls forcibly damaged to a point that they may not, how much of the ones who have been very fragmented and fractured, how much will they be able to reacquire or retain once they leave the physical? We have to be thinking of that as well. And because this is more of there are many entities outside of this place that are complicit, and how much of this universe is compromised? Is it just this sector of the galaxy, this quadrant? Or if there is an entity running and operating this universe, how long has that entity been doing this? In how much of the universe? How many star systems? How many galaxies? How long has that entity been doing this? So is it just this quadrant that's compromised? Or is it much of the universe? That is something else that needs to be looked at. And hopefully with your gifts, skills, and abilities. And what that means when the universe itself is subject to universal laws, to the full enforcement of universal laws, in the presence of embodied truth. It means his immediate removal from existence, is what that means, along with all the proxies. So once this planet is fully subjected to universal laws and correction in the presence of embodied truth, correction on a massive scale will happen at a speed that you have never seen. And because this universe is at the end of a very large cycle, there are many entities who have been participating in what is being forced here. So, in other words, the stakes are very high. And because their proxies are so insane that they're willing to violate universal laws, that in and of itself is a massive, abhorrent shit show, as some of you might be able to attest to if you are being personally targeted and tortured. What they are forcing is not allowed. The technology that they are using is not allowed in this universe, nor was it ever. That kind of technology has very specific intents and purposes, and none of them benevolent. And nor should parasites be in manifested creation, for obvious reasons. Take a look around. And the planetary parasite, the parasite within the planet, and what it's doing, and what its goal is, what its agenda is. From what I have been forced to experience and hear, is not benevolent. So, in addition to entities, that have taken some kind of a form, there's also a planetary parasite that is trying to take off. Move shop and try and take everything that it's raped somewhere else. There just are many aspects to this, and I just hope, if there are any listening, that you're seeing the magnitude of what is occurring, and how quickly there is a culmination point coming up, and especially because of how frenzied they are. And if there are any true benevolent beings listening, if you are being personally targeted and tortured, I'm sure you can also attest to what is being forced has, number one, probably increased, and number two, probably increased in severity. they're frenzied. They're in massive fear. And they are trying to force that fear onto the rest. For what they have been doing for what looks to be many timelines, many civilizations, many star systems, many races. You would just need to contemplate how much embodied truth scares them. So with this recording, my point is more to, yes, see if there's any out there that can try and find a way to assist, as well as realizing the magnitude of what is occurring, what is going on. Especially because so much of this race, at least currently, has been seemingly lost. And I don't know if they will be able to retrieve things that have been raped from them and recover from the forced fragmentation and fracturing that has been forced on them for so many lifetimes here. And that if there is only a few of us left of this race, that it is extremely important that you look inside yourself and see if you can try and find some way to assist. Whether that's trying to reach Father, reaching out to universal laws, reaching out to the universe itself, to assist here, to deactivate and shut off the artificial frequency fence so that universal laws can be fully enforced in this place. So just as you're if you do happen to contemplate on the ramifications of what they're forcing, and if you're looking at that and then extrapolating, if you're contemplating those things, that those are some of the very important things that need to remain at the top of the list as far as what needs to be looked at. All right. Again, I did not intend for this to be a long recording. However, because with especially recent recordings, they are trying to interfere. They interfere with me physically, mentally, in my emotional body. They're trying to distract and trying to induce fear by interfering with my physical processes, while I'm doing the recording. So I do apologize for the choppiness of this. I am doing the best that I can. Hopefully that was not too repetitive. I would really be very interested to know if there are I have a feeling that there are true benevolent beings that have listened. But if you are seeing the same things, I am not stating that for any kind of need of confirmation or validation. I guess it would be, I would want to see if there were, or know if there are others who are being tortured and raped to this degree. And if you have been forcibly shown the same things. I'm not asking you to actually, that is more of a rhetorical, but I would have to say that I am interested in knowing if there are others who are being shown the same things. It would be more of a gauge to see how many of us there are. Because I have a feeling there are not very many of us. So I think I'll wrap up the recording now. And do remember that they do monitor this channel. And if you choose to leave a comment, that may attract attention to you, or draw, other entities to monitor you. So please think carefully if you are going to leave a comment, and hopefully you can find a way to assist. I hadn't planned on doing another recording so soon, but with what they're forcing, this is another spontaneous recording that I felt I needed to do. Do the best that you can. And have strength and courage. Within yourself, know yourself, and have faith in yourself. And still be reaching out to the true benevolent creator for assistance, and asking him to deactivate and shut off the artificial frequency fence. Ask him why it's not being done, or why it has not been done up to this point, and what is And why hasn't he? Or if you're working with some of those other groups, be asking those same questions. It is imperative now. And I hope that there are those of you true benevolent beings out there, if you are listening, that you can see why this is imperative and the stage that we are at. Through all of the lies, the cons, the deceit, the forced magic, the glamour, as some would call it, of their magic. Their forced morphine drip of propagated lies. All right, till next time.